everyone. Welcome to another episode of Stuttering in Silence. My name is Matthew Lepore, and I'm joined by
Gavin Soden.
All right, Gavin, what are we going to be talking about today, man?
Conspiracy theories.
Ooh, exciting. Well, I hope you guys are going to be as excited as we are for this episode. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Booyah.
We are live.
Look at that.
Yep. This only took 3 tries. For whatever reason, GarageBand doesn't want to work for us today.
Yeah, things are not going as according to plan as we would like. But you know what? What do they always say? Without perseverance, there is no.
Nope.
Without perseverance, there is no prize.
Nope.
Yep, someone said it.
No, you said it.
Someone said it
today, October 14th.
Anyway.
Yeah, guys. So we are.
Yeah, let's not
here.
kick the table
My
again,
bad.
please.
I don't know what you're talking about. Never happened.
Okay. All right. So.
What a way to start a podcast.
Oh yeah. Let's jump into it. All right. Let's calm down here. So, we have a little bit of an announcement to make. So to start off the podcast today, I just wanted to let you guys know that I know we're already on Spotify, but we're also going to be on YouTube, going along in the future, and we're also going to be uploading onto Apple Podcasts Apple Podcasts
yep.
and Google Podcasts.
Yes, sir.
So we'll be on a couple different platforms. I know a majority of everyone listening, obviously everyone listening has Spotify at this point, but if you have trouble having Spotify, you don't want to buy the premium, or you don't like the app, whatever it is. Now we're on a couple different platforms to be able to make it a little bit easier for you.
They don't need premium to listen to us. But.
No, but I mean, like, I don't know.
They don't have to download the app, and I understand.
So I already know a couple of people in my family were like, it was just a little. They didn't have the app yet, so they had to download the app.
Same thing with my family.
Yeah, and I know Google Podcasts are free.
Yeah, no, it's totally free on there.
And YouTube is obviously free. But yeah, so it's just a cool announcement. It's pretty exciting that way. We can reach a larger audience and get our name out there a little bit more and make it a little bit easier for everyone to, go ahead and have a listen.
Yeah, no, definitely. We did just spend an hour and a half working on a YouTube banner.
Yeah, well, it shouldn't have taken that long, but things were not working. Today has been a really rough day for trying to get stuff done.
Yeah, but we got it done though.
We got it done. But yeah, so that was just a cool announcement. I was pretty excited for it.
Yeah, same here.
So, but yeah, so we're just going to jump on into it. So, what are we What are we going to be talking about today?
Have you ever heard of Mr. John F. Kennedy?
Are you talking about John Fitzgerald Kennedy?
Yes, I am.
All right, then yes, I have.
Yeah, so we're gonna dive into that conspiracy theory today. We're gonna break it down. There's a big 5 conspiracies that kind of go around with his death. I know, like, Gavin, there's a whole bunch. I know a whole bunch. Right. So we're just going to spitball, have some fun. Yeah,
we're going to cover a couple of the main conspiracies surrounding his death, or his assassination. We're going to be covering some stuff that ties in, and figuring it all out.
Yeah, so those of you who don't know, John F. Kennedy was assassinated.
Yep. So they were saying it was
Lee Harvey Oswald, which was the one killer on the quote-unquote grassy knoll.
Yep.
And I guess we'll kind of talk about the magic bullet theory just straight off the bat here.
Sure.
The magic bullet theory. Now, what freaks me out about the magic bullet theory, or the quote-unquote one bullet theory, is the entrance of which it kind of came through. So we were talking a little earlier after the first mess up of the podcast, how it kind of went into Kennedy. So it entered through kind of like his shoulder, like right under the cuff of his collar, right, and then came out his neck. But the weird thing is the trajectory goes down, it goes up, and then back through Connolly, which is in the front seat there, through his shoulder, his hand, and then finishing off in his thigh.
Yeah.
Now, what I was explaining to you earlier was how freaky that is, because the bullet they got out of him in the gurney was pretty much pristine.
Right.
Obviously not perfect, but those of you who don't know anything about bullets or guns or just shooting and hunting, we don't know a whole bunch, but we know if you shoot a bullet at bone, metal, even wood in some cases, no bullet is coming out that pristine.
Yeah. It was just weird how it wasn't even. It was also weird if you look it up and you're searching through it, it'll say they found it on the gurney or on the gurney.
They got it out of him on the gurney.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, I just don't understand. Like, so theoretically, right? If that bullet was still pristine, right? It's obviously being slowed down by everything it's hitting.
100%. Yeah.
But would mean whatever it came into contact would have been obliterated.
Yeah, yeah, and
Especially through, because it went through Kennedy's shoulder, right? Is what it
Yeah.
said. So
And through
his
his neck, yeah.
shoulder, yeah, his head would have been like off almost.
Yeah, especially the distance that he was at, which is the whole thing with like grassy knoll, of like how far he was away. They do say 100 yards. So if you're using 100 yards and with like a hunting rifle, like a 308,
Yeah.
or whatever you're using, it's gonna do some damage.
Yeah.
Like there's no way that's just coming out his neck casually.
And then it doesn't make sense too, because it was the exit it went through. Obviously, it had to have come behind him.
Yes.
Now, if you watch his assassination video, don't worry, it's not gory, it's not too bad. Obviously, it's sad to watch, but at the same time, it's something I think everyone should at least take a gander into. But what you see is his wife, Jackie, try to climb over the back of the car. And at first, when I first watched it, when I was younger, I thought she was trying to get out of the car.
Yeah.
But then it was, I found out that she was apparently trying to grab the back of his head that had been shot off. So
Yeah.
I mean, she's a real one,
Yeah, I don't know if I'm able to like survive something like
Yeah.
that. That's
So
traumatic.
now, obviously, I don't understand. This doesn't make sense. How the back of his head would have flown backwards if he was getting shot from that direction.
Yeah, because even at the trajectory that it came in, even like 60 degrees high, at that speed, you're going forward.
Yeah.
There's just no way your head's coming back.
It doesn't make sense. But yeah, so it went through his body, and then it went through his driver's body, through his shoulder, his wrist, into his thigh.
Yeah, yeah, and then right off the Warren Commission, their exact words are the pristine bullet according to them. So it's showing here that the bullet they had was pristine.
Yeah.
Which again doesn't make any sense from the trajectory of where it came from, and if it went through his neck, you have vertebrae, you have the clavicle just right below, and then not only that, Connolly, probably you also have probably like metal. You have the seat and things like that is going to be passing by. But you also have his arm, his thigh. You have the femur right there, the biggest bone in the body. And you're telling me the bullet didn't.
It doesn't make sense. That's why it's conspiracy.
That's very true.
But yeah, so that's that theory. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I think a lot of things surrounding his death don't make sense. And there's a lot of too many ties for it to be all wrapped up neatly in a bow, and and for it to just be in the past. But if anybody obviously doesn't know as well, he was not the only Kennedy to die.
No.
So it was also his brother that died as well.
And you're referring to the mafia.
Yes. So to kind of get into that theory a little bit without trying to jump around, without trying to leapfrog anything, basically, John F. Kennedy, his plan was to take down Fidel Castro, who obviously was in Cuba. You guys should know who Castro is.
No, I never heard of him.
Never heard of him?
Nope.
So he was just a guy just doing some cool stuff.
Oh, did he like run like daycares for kids or?
Nope.
No.
Nope. Not even close. Actually.
Sure.
Yep. He was. Yep. Nope.
Well, not even close. All right.
Even close.
Cool. No, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
So he was trying to stop Castro and the like the Cuban Revolution, I guess. And so what in turn happened was he wasn't able to. But I'm kind of going to bullet point, and we can get more into
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
Basically, he wasn't able to stop Castro, and
You have the whole Bay of Pigs incident.
yeah. And you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so the Bay of Pigs, which is a big thing that it failed. So I know you and I were talking about the invasion before.
Yeah.
But it was a failed landing operation for the southwest coast of Cuba. So that was in 61. Just checking my my facts here. But it completely just went haywire. So he got a lot of flack from pretty much everyone in America, the House of Reps. You have higher ups talking to him, and everyone. His whole thing was just diminished, and that was kind of the big aspect of why he could have gotten assassinated. Same thing with his brother,
Right.
because you have casinos that were shut down, right? That they were shutting down.
Yeah.
You have look at the Cuban cigars. You had just like imports and exports being shut down or monitored, or huge tariffs just in the country alone. So it's like you have all these aspects.
And his brother, I mean, he was going after Castro, and he appointed his brother to be the what's it called? What is it called? Not the attorney not the attorney general, but the
I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
I don't remember, but anyway, he basically appointed him to kind of spearhead the driving factor in taking down Castro and taking down the mob. So obviously JFK had a lot on his plate as a president during that time, and he was trying to go through a bunch of different avenues and try to take down as much corruption as he could.
Yeah.
Now, with his brother was in charge of spearheading the mob in particular. So he tried to go after the mob, and he was a part of the what is it, the Teamsters, or
Yep.
no, he was a part of the Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah.
Basically, like,
They were pursuing the case against him,
Right.
Which the big thing that like Robert Kennedy was kind of going down and was cracking down on the mob, and yes, it was the Attorney General, his role as the
Right.
Attorney General.
So he was trying to take down Hoffa, so he could stop like the influence on the labor union, on the Teamsters labor union. And so they obviously didn't like that, paired with them going in and trying to take down Castro. And then obviously the mob had all kinds of ties into the casinos back then.
Yep, and they were shut down.
The mob really didn't like that. Hoffa didn't really like that. So obviously that could have been a driving factor in how they got.
Well, especially since the part of the theory of the mob killing him was they, quote unquote, helped Kennedy steal the election in the 60s.
Yeah.
So they were securing like big key votes in Illinois. So that was one of the aspects of like, hey, we helped you out. We got you elected.
Yeah, you
in
gotta
a
help
big
us.
swing area.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna shut down our casinos. You're gonna ruin our revenue. You're gonna put tax and tariffs up. So it was one of those things where you really gotta look and go, they have the money.
Right.
They definitely have people that would kill for them.
Oh yeah.
Which is a big mantra of the mafia.
Yeah.
And you have just the aspect of, was it one guy or whatever it was? So that's kind of the really scary thing about that is how much reach did the mafia have in the 60s?
Yeah.
It also makes you think, okay, you don't have as much organized crime now, but who knows? And you're telling me in the 60s they could have potentially had that much power?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Look at all those movies, right? Got to be some truth in there, right? How popular from the 90s, early 90s through today? How popular the mobster movies are?
They're still popular.
Yeah, like
look at you just had The Gentleman come out.
Gentleman.
We loved that movie.
Yeah, that's like a newer take on the mob.
Yep.
You have the even like the Peaky Blinders. You have Goodfellas from back in the day. You have a bunch of movies about it.
What was that one with Robert De Niro?
Like The Irishman.
Irishman. Okay. Yeah, so like you still have these movies popping up, and it's still in pop culture. So you don't know where the...
And it's famous. It's popular. Like
everyone loves them.
Everyone loves watching mobster movies because you want like that power. You want that suave that you walk into a club
big
with
gold chain. The suit.
Just passes a 20 off to a little kid.
Puts it in his
but,
pocket. Gives me a
yeah,
that.
Yeah. Put a 20 in everyone's pocket, 100 in everyone's pocket, whatever.
Hey, if kids coming around and
Giving
Halloween,
you drinks.
getting you drinks, but in Halloween
yeah.
they're watching or they're wearing mobster stuff.
Yeah,
it's cool.
They want to be out. They want to be Al Pacino from Scarface. They want to be Joe Pesci from Goodfellas. Am I a clown to you? Do I look like a clown?
Oh, I'm a joke. Yeah,
I'm a joke. What's funny?
Am I a joke?
What's so funny?
That was such a good movie.
But yeah, so I think that's one of the things. Like it's You want to kick the table one more time for me?
What are you gonna do about it?
Bop, bop. But no, so yeah, it's all over the place. But the reason I brought that up was because in movies, there's always a little bit of truth to everything, right?
Sure, yeah,
Especially
absolutely.
in mobster movies, you always see it's based on true events, right? So, and even you can even see that in some stuff about like the more fantasy-esque movies, the more like the fanatical, the fantastical movies, right? Speaking of that, that's what I'm trying to get to is the X-Men movies. So
okay.
So X-Men First, I think it was X-Men First Class. I could be wrong. It could be the next one in the line, but I think it's the first one. Came out in 2011.
Oh God. Dude, that was
there was basically, I don't know, maybe it might have been the second one. I don't remember. But anyway, they're breaking this character, Magneto, out of the Pentagon prison, like under the Pentagon. He's in prison, like the most secure prison in the world. So they're like, we're gonna break him out because we need him to save the world, right?
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
So they're breaking him out, and when they do that, they make he makes one of the characters, Quicksilver, makes a reference saying, like, why was he in there? He's apparently in there for moving the bullet, trying to quote unquote save JFK, but he couldn't do it in time because he was being like tackled or whatever. But he was trying to maneuver the bullet. That's why it like took a weird trajectory. And so
when they say magic bullet, they mean Magneto. Got it.
Yeah.
That actually makes a lot more sense than what
actually happened.
What actually happened. Because it really does amaze me that. But yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. But.
No, you're totally fine. I just think that was interesting because it's like, obviously, I don't think there was a mutant human that moved the bullet with his mind. I don't think that happened. But
well, I mean, there is.
Why would, if you're Hollywood, right? It's a cool theory. It's a cool different aspect it's a cool take on the events. But I mean, at the same time, it's like, is that their way of kind of trying to maybe stir the pot a little bit? Maybe trying to wrap things up. Maybe trying to, I don't know. But it doesn't make sense.
None of it makes sense. And especially the simple fact that, so kind of going back to the bullet theory, there was another aspect of there was somebody else. The second man on the grassy knoll, as Jim Carrey says in, I'm blanking on that movie now. Pet Detective.
Pet Detective.
I'm the second man on the grassy knoll. Now.
There you go again, another movie reference.
Yes. We watch some of them. So the grassy knoll, which is what kind of the Warren Commission included, was that Lee Harvey Oswald. Oswald acted alone, quote unquote. But the whole thing is he would have to fire because a total of 3 shots they said were fired, right?
And it would take him under 2 seconds per shot,
something like that. Now I forget the gentleman's name, but he did a YouTube video on it. I feel bad that I don't know it, so I can't even give him credit, but he did he was 100 yards out, right? And he took the exact same hunting rifle that Lee Harvey Oswald used, and bang, bang, bang. And he couldn't time it. He couldn't get the timing correct. So you're telling me someone that the CIA or whoever hired, or even the mob, okay? I'm not saying that those guys can't shoot, but this man on YouTube is trained, has all these amazing target videos or whatever it is, and he can't do it. And you're telling me Lee Harvey Oswald can?
Yeah.
In the heat of killing the president of the United States.
Yeah.
100 yards away, or 100 meters. And there's just no way. So the different aspect of having somebody else on the grassy knoll to kind of shoot from different angles or come out from different areas or have 3 different people, pow, pow, pow.
Right.
So those are one of the big aspects of, oh man, there could have been a second shooter on the grassy knoll. So they're over like that. They're over that hill on that site where Kennedy was assassinated in the motorcade, and they're like, oh, was there a second person? Yeah. But there were like 3 cases found, like 3 shell cases.
Right.
So it does kind of come into the aspect of if there's 2 people, that could also make sense of the the magic bullet theory or the one-track bullet theory or whatever it is.
Right.
But it definitely just makes you think where it's like, will they really just hire one person for the assassination?
I mean, probably not. But...
I mean, as compartmentalized as they can get, I don't think they're going to have one person just focused on the entire aspect of killing the president of the United States, especially after the Bay of Pigs incident, especially after all like the woke things he was trying to enact, because he was pretty progressive, which pissed off a lot of conservatives.
He was a true Democrat. He wasn't a radicalized.
That they consider like a classical liberal.
Oh yeah, a classical liberal, right? He wanted what was best for the country. He just and conservatives obviously at that time didn't align with what he did, obviously. But I know if you look back at it, that's what you can consider. He was he was trying to do everything that he could to quote try to better the country.
Yeah.
Now my thing was when I was younger. Growing up, I always thought like, okay, he got assassinated, cool. And then you look at it and you're like, oh, the same way like Martin Luther King got assassinated, or maybe even Robert Kennedy got assassinated, and so on and so forth. And it's like, my question is this. Why is it that you have somebody that's so trying to do what's good best for the people, not best for the government, but what's best for the people, right? And they die. But then you have people out here that are pushing agendas and pushing protocols that, making protocols and laws that hurt us, but help the government, and they're totally fine, right?
Yeah.
Now you got to think about it. Who has more power? The people? Well, who has more power in like a relative aspect of like making things work? So would be like the people or the government? Probably the government.
Well, yeah, they have the money. They
have the money, the connections, the power, the you know, the fortune.
And people still want a big government.
Oh yeah, but the people we have more power than we might realize.
Sure.
So, I think that how is the government going to continue to keep a monopoly on us when you have people out here like JFK or Robert Kennedy or Martin Luther King Jr., so on and so forth, who are out here trying to, you know, have us stand up for everything, right? They got it. If you're the government, you can't have that. They're a liability, and then they have to be taken care of.
Oh,
yeah.
You mean whacked?
I mean whacked.
They gotta get whacked.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know that reference, go find it, figure it out. I can't at this point. To be fair, actually, I don't do the letter Kenny thing. Don't.
To be fair.
Oh,
to be fair.
I knew it was coming.
Sorry, it has to happen.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, no, it has to happen. Actually,
you're drinking a coffee cup in the cup holder.
I am, so it doesn't drip on the table. So you're soaking up the on the table.
I don't know what you're talking about. They can't see that.
They can. I can.
Anyways.
So that's why I kept mine in the cup, because you took yours out, and I just used that opportunity to keep the table clean and to keep the water that's perspiring off of the cup from the ice to not get onto the table.
Well, you know what did have a lot of perspiration or quote-unquote blood? JFK's Motorcade. Anyway.
Exactly.
One of the things I kind of found here, too, with that like second bullet theory, or like somebody else shooting them on the grassy knoll, there is Lee Harvey Oswald tested negative and was given a paraffin test on his cheeks. So when someone fires like a rifle round or whatever it is from the 6th floor of like a Texas school book dispensary, it's gonna emit chambers and like residue on your cheeks.
Right.
Okay. Now, if he's testing negative for that on his cheeks, you're telling me he's firing 3 shots?
Yeah.
No. So you have to figure in, okay, he has no residue on his cheeks.
Right.
What does this prove? Is it a conspiracy? Did he actually do it? Or
is he a fall guy?
That's one of the things too. Is he the sheep that's supposed to run and then get killed?
Yeah.
Right. And then just even that, he gets killed 2 days later as they're apprehending him. Which makes no sense. And I forget who killed him. I think it was it? No. Was it?
Isn't it a little weird to you how people knew who he was immediately? Like, okay, prime example. Ready? I'm going to break this down for you. Tell me if this makes sense or not. You remember in House of Cards? Do you remember that show?
Yeah.
With Kevin Spacey on Netflix, right?
Yes.
So, in that movie, there was a terrorist, right?
Yes.
And on the news, they're looking for the terrorist. They break into a house. The terrorist isn't there. They're like, oh, we thought he was going to be here, yada, 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 right?
Yeah.
But where's the terrorist? Is he still on the loose? No. He's in a holding cell in the White House, or like in the Pentagon or whatever. He's in a holding cell where they already have him in custody. They haven't alerted any of the media yet, because they're trying to figure out exactly what's happening, trying to play hide the ball here, and and not have the public know what's going on yet, right? Why would they not do the same thing for the assassinator, like the person that assassinated the president of the United States? Why would they, if he really did it, right? Now, I'm not saying he didn't do it or he did do it, but what I am saying is if he did do it and you're the government and you want to figure out why he did it, if he had connections, if he had a plan, yada yada, why would you blast his name and face all over the news, everywhere in the newspapers, everywhere, and have such lackluster security when taking him to putting him in the car?
Yeah. Well, and even just that, Jack Ruby shoots him straight up, kills him. So you're telling me that this man who is part of the conspiracy in and of itself, right, for running the operation, hiring people, compartmentalizing things, and then you kill him?
Bro, look at what happened. The what was it? The Parkland shooter, or I forget what shooter. I forget what he did, but it was the kid that was taken out in like the vest.
Oh, I think it was
Was it Parkland?
Parkland.
I'm sorry for not having my facts up to date, but it just popped into my head a little bit. How you see how much security he had?
A lot.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you were correct. You were correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
Nicholas Cruz.
Yeah. So you know how much security that guy had being taken into custody.
A lot. And they were careful. They surrendered. They didn't shoot him.
Yeah.
And I understand like there's hype with killing the president of the United States, but I feel like they'd be a lot more careful with what they're doing.
Dude, did you tell? Okay, if you go on record and say you're going to harm the president of the United States in some facet,
And you can't
say that
without them at least finding out who you are.
Right. So you're done. Like you're getting arrested by the Secret Service,
Especially at the Patriot Act.
Yeah.
Oh, they're
going
knowing
down.
Oh yeah.
So now you're looking back on what happened with Kennedy, and it's like, I think personally, with how many alleged ties the government had into the mob and had into Hollywood and had into everything going around the world, you're telling me that some guy just randomly was able to kill him in his motorcade and then they're just like, you know what? Yeah, cool. We're just going to blast his face everywhere so that every single person in the country knows who he is and what he looks like, where he's going to be. You know, and it's like,
and I mean, to be fair, on the flip side, like I can kind of see them putting his name and face out there because, like, you would want people to look for him. Same thing that's kind of happening with the Jackie Petito thing with what's his name?
This isn't This isn't him assassinating a governor. This isn't him assassinating a bunch of kids or a bunch of people. Yeah. This is him assassinating the president of the United States. You're telling me if somebody killed the president of the United States, he's not being held and trying to be, maybe he's from another country, maybe he's a sleeper agent, maybe he's a, back then it was the whole thing with Russia, right? So it's like, could he have? You know what I mean? Like, what they should have interrogated him, used to. You know what I mean?
Well, they didn't even have like, possession of him at all. So he was on. They found him like 2 days later, and then when they found him, they approached him. That's when he got killed. So no one really had a chance to talk to him.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I understand. And just that alone, which like. You would like they interrogate people for so much less.
Yes,
and it's like
you get interrogated for bringing a water bottle in TSA.
Yeah, you can't bring my little shampoo bottle, you shitters.
No, obviously it's back in the 60s. Obviously the Patriot Act wasn't a thing until 30, 40 years later with Bush. But it's like. It just doesn't. Like people I've seen like try to chalk it up to, oh well, they didn't know better. This is how you live and you learn from your mistakes, yada yada.
That's a big mistake to learn from.
Mistake.
You can't just because I feel like even if something small, someone takes like your gum packet, you're not just gonna punch them right off the rip. Well, I mean you might punch them off the rip.
Well, yeah. But
you're gonna ask them, why'd you take it, or why'd you take this, or whatever it is. And I feel that if you kill the president of the United States. Are you acting alone?
Exactly.
What was the plan? What was the process? Because they're going to want to gain information of, one, how their Secret Service didn't catch you from 100 yards away or meters.
100 meters away.
Okay? They track miles now.
Yeah.
You're telling me that they weren't able to secure a library, right?
Right.
Which I'm, as I understand where we're shooting from. But you're telling me they couldn't secure that.
Yeah.
Okay, how are we going to get better from that? You ask him questions. Okay, how did you plan this? How did you do this? And you're telling me they just... killed him?
Exactly. And then that's what I'm saying when it's like exactly how would you, he's just what, some guy, right? Lee Harvey Oswald was just some dude.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh well, we can't, that's why we can't do the motorcades anymore because he can get sniped.
Crazy cool.
But 360. But it's like it just doesn't, you know what it is? It's like when you buy a It's like when it's like a puzzle, right? You're putting the piece in, and it's so close to being being perfect, but it doesn't quite fit. It's a little bit up. You're pushing it. It just keeps popping out. Yeah, it's not quite there. It's exactly what's happening here. It's kind of like in my personal opinion, what I feel like is happening, and it's happened throughout basically as long as the media has existed, or as long as the monopoly over the media has existed with all these different companies and corporations and the government, you have a big puzzle, okay? A lot of pieces to go into that puzzle. And what happens is the puzzle, right, all the pieces get dropped on the floor. What does that mean? That's a tragedy. That's a shooting, a mass shooting, whatever.
Agreed, yeah.
Right? All the pieces get dropped on the floor. The government comes in and says, okay, we're going to take this piece, and so on and so forth. And they go, okay, now put the picture together. Then you take all the pieces and you hand them out to the public and go, cool, put the pieces together. We gave you all the right tools, and we start putting the pieces together, but they don't work. They don't fit because we're missing key pieces. We're missing key information.
Well, even just for puzzle pieces, on record, and notably, the CIA was pissed at Kennedy for the whole Bay of Pigs thing.
You know who else was pissed at Kennedy? The space program, NASA.
Mm-hmm. Why is that? I didn't...
Yeah, he was looking into what was going on with NASA, and how and they're like the inner findings of what they were working on, and NASA is basically its own government.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And they didn't like that very much. They didn't like that at all. And allegedly, Kennedy was going to out a bunch of information on the space program.
That I heard as well.
On the inner government, inner workings throughout the government,
aliens.
And some aliens, stuff along those lines. What we were finding in our research, what was happening in the actual different branches of government, with the military, with people being paid off, the mob.
No one was ever been paid off in the government.
Stuff. Well, I mean, look at that, and you know what I mean? Like, no, of course not.
Yeah, I forgot about that. No, you're right. Cause I know there was another theory, which was like, oh, he was gonna tell us about aliens, what's going on in Area 51, things like that, and
he didn't have the
or not Area 51, but like what's going on with the government and like extraterrestrials and things of that nature, and
then what? 60 years later, or 50 years like after that? Oh yeah, aliens exist.
Well, what's not to get totally off topic, what was crazy was we're in the middle of a pandemic of 2020, and they go, oh, okay, this was an actual alien extraterrestrial sighting, and no one batted an eye.
Cared.
And
I know we hinted on that in our last conspiracy theory video, but it still blows my mind on how it's like for this many since the literal 60s, if not prior. Oh, aliens exist. The government they come in, they shut everybody up, right?
Yeah,
the whole Men in Black thing, right? They shut everybody up. You can't know. Nobody can know. All of a sudden, the government's like, yeah, go ahead, tell them. They're not going to care. And that's the genius. That's the genius in the government and how it works, because its sole purpose right now, right, is it's like a giant organism that's trying to just keep itself alive at the cost of everyone else. They don't care. It doesn't matter anymore. It never mattered, because at least back in the day, right, when JFK was assassinated and Martin Luther King was assassinated and so on and so forth, they try to cover their tracks.
They're always going to. Yeah.
Now it's like they get away with it. It doesn't matter.
And the thing is, it's so blatant, and especially like even just looking at the magic bullet theory, right? For anybody who is an avid shooter, and I'm sure it's been debunked or whatever it is by marksmen, and this is coming from someone who's not a marksman at all.
Right.
Okay. Like I shoot guns on occasion, but I understand my expertise is
on occasion, brother.
Oh God. Okay. Anyways.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all the TikTok references. I need to delete that app. But it's just so blatant, and it's just right in your face. And it's like they know that there's no way that's happening, the bullets flying around, and maybe it does.
Maybe.
But the fact that the Warren Commission is pushing with Lyndon B. Johnson, they're pushing this magic bullet theory, they're pushing this single bullet theory with Oswald, and then Ruby kills him. That's what the whole thing was like. Oh, the government did it, and having the CIA notably angry and pissed off. There's just it makes them sus. Like they're very suspect. Very suspect.
Yeah.
And right here, a quote from Edward Price. He told NBC, while the CIA conspiracy theories make good fodder for movies, they are pure fiction. Right. And one of the things is, how do you discount theories?
Right.
You talk badly about them. That's the whole thing where the whole conspiracy theories came from. If you guys look this up, if you look up conspiracies or like flat earthers, there's government-funded websites. Same thing with the JFK assassination. Government-funded websites on conspiracies that make people who are conspiracy nuts or tinfoil hat people look crazy, which, I mean, in a lot of regards, they are.
Yeah.
But how do you discount somebody? Same thing in the court system. How do you discredit somebody? You just talk badly about them, bring up flaws, bring up Malleus's, things like that. And
Well, how was the term conspiracy theory coined? How was it made?
wasn't it was the government that coined it, right?
It was the CIA that
Okay, the CIA
coined.
specifically.
They made that to basically point the finger at people that were coming out with these theories about like aliens and about government conspiracies, and they're like, "You're a conspiracy theorist," and then all the
Yes.
public was like, "Oh, well, we trust the government.
We don't want to be that.
We don't want to be conspiracy theorists because those people are dumb and crazy." And then what do you see in movies and TV shows now? Oh, everybody that's okay. Prime example. The movie. You ever see the movie 2012?
Oh, with when the whole world was gonna like check out. Yeah.
Woody Harrelson played a quote unquote conspiracy theorist, and what was he?
Yes. Yep.
He was a skinny, scrangly, long-haired, unkempt, looking like a homeless person living in a trailer in Yosemite in Yellowstone Park.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, the world's going to end, man. The government's the aliens are coming, man." And he was like this over exaggerated conspiracy theorist
Character. Yeah.
And then it's like people look at that and they go, "Yeah, those people are crazy." And then, not to get too off topic, but it's the same thing that they did with, it's the same thing that happened you saw for the past 2 years with like the Trump supporters, and even the Biden supporters. The Biden supporters are all
that stigma.
The stigma of they're all just crazy people, crazy leftists, radicalists, so on and so forth. And then on the adverse, you have Trump, who everyone that voted for him and is a Trump supporter is a fat white male who is from the South, and they're just they're like, "Yeah, brother, goddamn, we don't like anybody that's not," and it's like and that's what people think. You know what I mean? That's what America. It's why we're so divided right now. But back in the day, everybody trusted the government.
Well, the biggest thing was after Richard Nixon, when he had the whole Watergate scandal, right? And I know we're jumping around a lot, but bear with us. They were at and this is from CNN. They did a poll of, I think it was like 3,000 people, to get like a reference, or it was 10,000, whichever one it was. Someone can fact check me on that. But the people believed it was like a 78 or 80% approval rating of the government, how much they trusted them. Mm-hmm. After Nixon had that whole thing, it dropped down to 65. Right. And the crazy thing is since Nixon's presidency, it's dropped to about 45 to 51%, according to CNN. So what's weird about that is you see the Patriot Act, the whole thing right after 9/11.
Right.
And for those of you who don't know that, it's just they were spying on us.
Right.
Which is
and
one
that'll
of the things
be covered in a later episode.
Yeah, we'll
sure.
definitely do that, covering like Edward Snowden and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But you're having all these people not trusting the government, and the government's telling you, especially with like the Warren Commission, with Lyndon B. It's just you want them to just trust you on a lot of the aspects, and the government's growing at this point.
Right.
And you have all these things of, he wants to tell us about the aliens. He wants to be a transparent government, which is one of his big things. Is when he was running in the 60s, is having a transparent government.
Yeah.
And then he gets killed.
Yeah. And what's an even crazier tie-in that a lot of people overlook. So I don't know if anybody is familiar with the Black Ops series. It's a video game series from Call of Duty, the Call of Duty Black Ops. Now, the first game, Call of Duty Black Ops 1, the end of the game, at the end of the campaign, it goes to a black screen, and you come back, and there's a cutscene with JFK, Fidel Castro. Who else was in there? Reagan or Nixon or somebody?
I don't remember.
So basically, it was a bunch of different people, and they were all together talking and quote unquote conspiring, as they were all under the same loop.
The government would never do that.
And then obviously zombies come, and then they're like, boom, you're now playing zombies. But it's kind of a funny thing because it's like, oh, that's just the artist's perception of what would have happened if they were actually all in cahoots and so on and so forth. And then it's like, yeah, but that would be the same thing as having I don't know, Truman sitting down with the leaders of Japan. You know what I mean? So it's the same kind of concept.
Sure. No, I can 100% see that.
Or Washington sitting down with the king,
It really does make you think, though.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of to segue into this with prolific people in the government, I'm sure you guys know Mr. Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz.
Now, this is a pretty recent conspiracy, which when Donald Trump ran in 2016.
Yep.
Okay, and what weird about this theory was, and the reason it's one of the top 5, top 10, is the Cruz is actually like Ted Cruz's father.
Yeah.
Was somehow involved because he had associates and he was associated with Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah.
Now, this alone, and Trump said on Fox News during like a phone interview, Trump said his father was Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald being, shot. Okay, so that's kind of just an aspect of, okay, was your father this name? What was his actual name either before this or kind of referring
So
to?
wait, they were saying that his father was Lee Harvey Oswald?
His father was with. I'm
Oh,
sorry. With.
I was about
with,
to say,
with.
what?
His father was with Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald shooting Kennedy. My bad. Words.
So, and who
well.
was Ted Cruz's dad at that point?
I don't remember his name off the top of my head here. But after he beat Cruz in the nomination, Trump kept calling attention to his claim, and it made people like really kind of think and kind of have that aspect of, hey, maybe is this true? Was he really with him? And then they're looking at the accounts of where Ted Cruz's father was that day, and he was with him. Yeah, what was correct. And it really is just ridiculous. And everyone was like, oh, this is crazy. This is ridiculous. This is preposterous. But he was with him prior to being shot, and no one really brings it up. They don't even talk about that, which everyone kind of is like, why? Why aren't you bringing this up? Why isn't this reported? And then everyone just kind of wrote it off.
Right.
But then you have people on, I think, was it 4chan or 8chan at that? I think it was 8chan. People were like, hey, why is no one talking about this? Check this cafe station. Look at this. Or whatever was happening. He was with him.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, how associated or how connected was Ted Cruz's father with Lee Harvey Oswald?
Right.
Does that have any tie to the government? Is there any payoff? Is there whatever it is? So Trump kind of puts that into light. Now, could have this been a tactic to get some of the Republicans away from Cruz?
It's a possibility.
I can see that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I mean, there's kind of no holds barred when it comes to that kind of thing. But
yeah, it definitely makes you think, though. But there's just so many things just kind of going around his death, and who would have done it, why he would have done it, how it would have happened, and it really just kind of, well, I mean, it makes you think.
Does.
And that's one of the earlier conspiracy theories. It's not as followed, not as prolific. But, I mean, everyone just kind of thinks that the government did it. And when the government, especially during the Warren Commission, was like, we had nothing to do with it. The CIA had nothing to do with it. This doesn't make any sense that people would, like, accuse them of it. They convinced almost nobody.
yeah.
Absolutely nobody. Here, we're just going to... All right, sorry about that, guys. We had a mic kind of come down there for
Yeah, we
a
had
little
some
bit.
audio issues going on. But no, so to kind of touch on the whole Ted Cruz thing, I was looking up, some facts about, like, obviously about JFK and everything, and it was the Ted Cruz's father thing was a bigger story than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
Now, I was looking on. You guys, obviously listening, can go and look this up for yourself. I found this particular article on the Florida Times Union, Jacksonville.com. All right, and one of the excerpts from that article was saying that basically there was a company or a website called factcheck.org investigated the claim about Ted Cruz's father being involved with Lee Harvey Oswald, and that said that there was a expert who had told the Inquirer that a photo of an unidentified man handing out pro-Fidel Castro leaflets with Harvey Oswald shows more similarity than dissimilarity with a passport picture from Ted Cruz's dad.
Raphael. Ooh.
Now, that opens up a couple different cans of worms because, one, that would mean that allegedly Ted Cruz's father was involved with Lee Harvey Oswald, and two, they were both supporters of Castro, which obviously, as we, as it was aforementioned, JFK was trying to take down Castro. Now, he was not successful in that, But if you're handing out pro flyers for a guy that's trying to be taken down by your government, same guy ends up killing the president. That's a connection.
Yeah, and as much as people don't like Trump, when he brings things like that up, and you have factcheck.org, I mean, I don't know how legit they are, but I'm sure they're probably people who, really dive into it because they want to be like a legit source.
Yeah.
Unlike a lot of things.
Right,
nowadays.
and I urge everyone to go check it out for yourselves. We found this stuff just as the same way as anybody else could. So once again, that was the Florida Union, I believe, .com or Jacksonville.com. I just did a simple Google search a little while ago, and here we are.
And nothing hurts to do your own research, guys. Like if you either disagree or have like a different theory that you want to look into and you think we're wrong, please, let us know. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to kind of look at. And you look at someone like Ted Cruz, is pretty prolific in the government.
Yeah. Who is also a Republican.
That is true. And the people are going to be out there like, oh, Trump's trying to diminish or like demonetize like Trump. Yeah. Or Trump's trying to demonetize like Ted Cruz, which in a presidential election, that's true. They're going to do that all day long. That's why they vet people and things like that. Yeah. But that's a pretty big aspect. Yeah. And with their vetting process, I mean, you get a little bit of a glimpse if you ever watch House of Cards. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe people like knew that. Yeah. You have someone like Rafael Cruz hanging with Lee Harvey Oswald, and then next thing you allegedly, quote unquote, we all know he was there. Anyways, handing out flyers, and then JFK's getting deleted. Yeah. It makes you think, and you also have like Secret Service members getting shot. Like you get put in jail just for the simple fact of being associated with people, which is kind of how the Patriot Act got so prolific, because they were looking at people who were associated with Al Qaeda and ISIS and things like that. And you have someone like Ted Cruz's father not even being brought up to the simple fact that he was with Lee Harvey Oswald. Yeah. I don't know how that doesn't get brought up, and I'm glad you actually looked that up, because I did not know that aspect. Yeah. Just handing out like leaflets, but that's huge. Yeah, that's massive.
It's insane.
And it was someone like Ted Cruz in the government at a prolific level, at a huge monetized level, and his father could have had a take into it. Yeah, but
it's kind of crazy when you start really getting down and doing your own research and figuring stuff out for yourself, because obviously you can't treat I just want to say everything you hear from the media, from any social media platform, any news outlet, any government official, always, whether it be if you're on the same side of the aisle, opposite sides, whatever, please take it with a grain of salt.
All of it, yeah. And we're not always saying that we believe in everything or whatever it is. We just think that like the theories are kind of cool to kind of talk about. And it's definitely interesting aspects to look at a lot of the facts, especially with what the Warren Commission put together. Yeah. And, the magic bullet theory or the one bullet theory. But there's just a lot of odds and ends that aren't getting answered, aren't adding up. Yeah. Because a lot of it, especially from the Warren Commission, it's like, what's 1 + 1? They're like, 26. Or like what's 9 + 10, 21. Anyways, 21. But it really does make you think about different aspects of what the government has, what the government doesn't have. But is there anything that like we missed? Anything you want to bring up about the?
Not really. I mean, there's some small stuff about JFK, is whether he was involved with Marilyn Monroe or not.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, probably.
He was a dog.
I mean, obviously, they were two of the most, at that time, most good-looking, sought-after people in America, with Marilyn being a sex symbol in Hollywood and JFK being enamored by, or enamored over by the female public.
They loved him.
Everyone loved him. Everyone in government liked JFK. Everyone, like the world leaders liked JFK. So I don't think it's a far stretch to say he was most likely involved with Marilyn Monroe. I mean, at the end of the day, people have, urges and interests just like everyone else. So I'm not saying he was, but it wouldn't be a far reach.
No, not even a little bit. But that's the kind of conspiracy around, JFK. Like, do your own research, guys. Don't just listen to two random dudes in a podcast telling you about JFKs. We're just sitting here looking stuff up and making sure that most of our facts are correct, and kind of just talking and spitballing about what we've heard. But
yeah, and I think we're also going to be using a lot of these conspiracy topics as more of not so much where you would go to get 100% all the facts, all the information that you would ever need, but just something as like a launching pad to go and
exactly
and be involved in it of yourself, because obviously if you hear us talking about it, maybe there's some things going on that you had no idea, right? Like about Ted Cruz's dad or about the whole single bullet theory or whatever. And it's going to provide you guys a whole heap load of fun. If you're super interested in it, go and check it out for yourself. There's same links that we used. You guys can go and use with a simple, search.
Google search, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's about it. So that's going to wrap up the JFK. We'll have another one of these next week. Our next podcast is going to be movies, TV shows, comic books.
So look forward to, obviously I'm excited to talk about that. Obviously you just wrapped up one of the shows we're going to be talking about in this next episode. So let's definitely look out for that. I already know everyone that's listening right now has the notifications on Spotify. And once we do go ahead and upload to YouTube and Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts, obviously you're going to have the notifications turned on for there as well, so you don't miss an upload. But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty sure that's it. So I just want you guys to go ahead and I hope you're excited for the multiple platforms that we get to stream on now. Because I know that we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, we have our Instagram, Stuttering in Silence _podcast.
Yep.
We have our Twitter up, which is SNS Podcast 1. Then our YouTube is Stuttering in Silence.
Yep. And we're also on Facebook as well.
Yep. Stuttering in Silence as well. Gavin, your personal Instagram is?
My personal Instagram name is @mynameis_Gavin.
Yep, mine's Matthew J. Lepore.
Yep.
Follow us on there. Check out all the socials. Keep up to date. Or be on everything soon. And everyone, enjoy the rest of your day.